1, 2, 3, 4.
We're live.
All right, excellent. So we're gonna skip the formal intro that we used to do, and we're jumping right into it.
Awesome.
We decided to do this podcast now and going into we're already in hurricane season. Hugo and Nabila from the Florida General Counsel, PA. I don't know if that's necessary to say, but
Yeah, it's fine.
it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
It's official. It's official.
Reached out to me and rightfully so, mentioned that we should get into a podcast and try to inform as many people as we can going into hurricane season. I don't think people understand the severity and the importance of what it means to be prepared for the season, especially being Floridians, or now that we're taking care of people in the Texas area and in Louisiana. So here we are. Let's jump right into it.
Awesome.
And
Welcome.
I would like to emphasize the reason why I thought it would be a good topic, because my opinion is that right now, we, meaning the residents or the citizens of Florida and Miami-Dade, right now are facing a crisis, which is being emphasized in every news station in Miami-Dade. But what they don't talk about is how to make sure your insurance covers you after a loss or after a hurricane or tropical storm or a event that triggers, the insurance paying out their benefits to make sure that your property is put in the condition, that should be
Yeah.
after an event that causes damage to the property.
Can you tell us a little bit about what crisis specifically are you referring to?
There's a lot of Nabila could also add to this, but there's a lot of insurance companies that are not providing denying coverage to homeowners when there is an event that should trigger the insurance company to provide insurance benefits to that homeowner, as well as a bunch of insurance companies just declaring bankruptcy, and a lot of homeowners and insurers just being okay. So I paid premiums for the last 10 years, 7 years, and now my property is destroyed, and I don't have an insurance company to provide me with those, what I invested in return to make sure that my property is put back into the position that it should have been or was prior to this event occurring.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Another thing too, to also piggyback off of what he said, is that all of these, already through this year, it's only been the first 6 months, there's already been 3 insurance companies that have filed for receivership. It's been Avatar, St. John's, and Southern Fidelity has been the latest one. So a lot of these insurance carriers, all of a sudden, when these homeowners have been paying their premiums all of these years, and a lot of frustrations really that we hear from our clients day in and day out is, I've always paid, I've never missed a payment, always pay our premiums, and now when I have a claim and it's a valid claim, they don't cover, or they either refuse to cover the entirety of the claim, or how it is, underscoping the damages or completely denying the claim. So that's something that but I think it's very important is to really emphasize and speak about how to prepare claims so that this does not happen. So that's definitely something that we want to discuss today.
And so,
jump in.
Make sure, the biggest thing, so after Hurricane Andrew, the Florida Building Code changed for a better, change to make sure that that homeowners and insurers are protected, and there's better protection or better products being added on to the structure being your house where you live, the dwelling, your apartment, your house, your wherever it is that you sleep at night. What I'm trying to get to is now, the building code requires that the products, for example, windows that are installed in your house be either approved as a Florida approved product, or they have what's called an NOA, a Notice of Acceptance, which in essence what it is that the product goes under a series of testing with engineers. And then, as pertains to the impact, they get, it's called, I believe it's called missile tested or something like that.
Projectile.
A projectile where they test the product, the windows or the doors, to make sure that there's like a Category 5 catastrophic hurricane, that that there's no danger to the individual inside the home, and that the home remains protected to the best that it can. So I think the big thing was what I'm trying to get to is make sure that we're still in time, or the homeowners are still in time to make sure that they reach out to contractors or whoever it is that you're going to utilize to make sure that their home is secured for hurricanes. That they make sure that their windows are either impact, or that the products that they're considering installing are been approved by the Florida, or are considered Florida approved products, or have a notice of acceptance on them. Going, I guess, to the shutters and how to, I guess, prepare for a hurricane or a tropical storm, regarding shutters, plywood, etc. I'll let Nabila jump on this product regarding what's important of making sure that as a homeowner you have the responsibility to make sure that you mitigate your damages to the best that you can. You can't just sit there and okay, category 5 hurricane is coming, I'm ready for it, I'm not putting any shutters or anything. I'm just gonna sit down and just let it ride.
Yeah, so it's very important. So let's say, obviously, being in hurricane season, you want to make sure that you have your roof inspected before and also after the storm. Why is before so important? Because you want to make sure if you have, a tile roof, that if you have any cracked tiles, any lifted tiles, anything along that nature, you want to make sure that you secure it or that you make any appropriate repairs before the storm so that you mitigate your damages. You also want to make sure that you hire a licensed professional, licensed roofer, and make sure also that you keep the receipts. And unfortunately, in the construction industry, many clients pay with cash. So when we ask them, how did you pay? It was cash. So we have no record of this. So it may be true, but how are we going to prove this? So you want to make sure that you make any appropriate repairs before the storm and have it corrected if need be. And also you want to make sure that even after the storm, you also have a licensed roofer, licensed contractor go back out to your property to make sure, because if there was any sort of damage, you want to make sure that it's corrected, or if a claim has to be filed. Many times, and this is particularly important because these insurance carriers, part of the reason, or really the main reason why they deny claims is because they say that there was a pre-existing condition to your roof. So if we're able to prove that, hey, listen, there was an inspection done right before the storm, everything was perfect, there was no issue with the roof, then the storm happens and now you have lifted creased shingles, cracked tiles, this is going to be huge evidence against the insurance company, and now they can't fall back on it was foot traffic, it was pre-existing damage. So this is also very important. Or the best one
is, well, how is it possible that after you called your PA that all of a sudden now it's more cracked tiles than what you're saying? So what I want to add on to this is make sure that when you go to prepare your home for the structure, with the plywood or the shutters, whatever you are that you're utilizing to protect your home, take pictures of it. Everybody has an iPhone now. Everybody has some kind of iPad. Just take pictures of your home. Outside, the backyard. Anywhere that there's glass, anywhere that that is could be the witness, not witness, but the victim of rocks or trees or some kind of flying debris that could impact the structure. Make sure you just take your pictures, take videos of you having the shutters on your property, or having your structure, your home properly secured, ready for the storm, so that if something happens down the road, you show whoever you need to show. Say, listen, I did the best that I can to try to mitigate my damages. I put shutters, I put plywood, I installed impact windows, doors. Here are the receipts, here are the photographs, the evidence to show that I actually did this. Versus, yeah, I did that, and you have no evidence to support what you're saying.
Nowadays in the age of social media, we use our phones for everything. We either take a screenshot, we take a picture. Let's also use, make sure that the homeowner uses this to their advantage too. You have to make sure that you protect your property as well. If you don't have impact windows and doors, you want to make sure that you put your shutters, that you put your plywood, and that you take pictures and videos of your property prior to the storm. Also, you want to make sure that you also take pictures and videos during the storm. And we have a lot of clients that they'll send us videos literally right in the middle of a hurricane, and there's either a leak inside the home, or this will show, because a lot of times too, in the event that you have to put file a claim with your insurance company, they'll say, the weather wasn't that bad. But if you have a video, if you have something to show, listen, you hear the wind speeds, you see the amount of, the severity of the weather. I think that this would also be a great thing as well. Really the purpose of this is to make sure that you have as strong of a case as possible in order to submit your insurance claim in the event that your property does suffer damages.
People will take pictures of every meal that they have, but during a hurricane, they forget to take pictures of real relevant things. I want to add on to what you guys mentioned that, as our viewers know, and anybody else that's watching this, we offer those inspections, those pre-loss inspections, to make sure that the property is in good standing condition. We photograph the entire property, not only the interior, but also the exterior, the roof, even in the attic. We can even put a report together so that you have it as evidence. And we do this at no cost to the homeowner. All you have to do is give us a call, schedule the inspection, and we'll do that for you. In addition, we also review policies to make sure that the coverages are in line with what you should have, and to make sure that you're protected at the time of a loss.
That I want to jump into that as an important point there. Make sure just don't wait for the storm to pass and then, okay, what are my insurance coverages? Reach out. There's a lot of services out there that are free of charge. I mean, you just said you guys do policy reviews. Reach out to Edgar and the team and
free policy reviews.
Yeah, reach out to them and say, hey, what do you think about this policy? Listen, most homeowners don't know what they're paying for. They rely on their insurance agent. Say, okay, here's a policy of insurance. You're now insured. That's all they want to hear, that you're insured. But most, your typical layperson, which is somebody who's doesn't have any legal knowledge, doesn't know how to read contract, doesn't really know how this industry works, wouldn't know what are caps on insurance limits, or what are certain pre or post loss conditions that must be met. What are exclusions to the policies? Excluded water damage, certain exclusions that, as a public adjuster, you guys read hundreds of policies, I guess, throughout the year before you put in a claim, right off the bat what page it is or where it is. Right. It takes you guys, a few seconds, a few minutes to attack that. So don't wait until after to ask questions regarding what are my policy coverages. Reach out to these individuals, to Monarch, and ask, hey, you guys mind looking at my policy? What do you guys think? Could it be better? There's always room to better your policy, because at the end of the day, yes, we all live in houses and apartments, but they're all investments. You buy certain properties because you're investing in this property. You improve the property with time. Most people, they want to either get a bigger house, they want to sell it, or they want to pass it on to their kids, to their grandchildren. So, although yes, you live in it now, but at the end of the day, this is an investment. And in my opinion, in insurance, it should be also an investment to make sure that ultimate. The ultimate investment, meaning the property that you live in, or whatever property you may have, is secured to the best that you can, or best of your knowledge. So I think that's an important fact, to make sure you have the proper insurance coverages, make sure there's no tricks, and make sure you're not just buying a policy just because it's the cheapest one out there.
To jump on that as well, nowadays there's less and less coverage, and the premiums are just going, higher and higher. So you want to make sure that you have also a trained professional that's looking at your policy, that's reviewing the policy, that's interpreting the policy language. It's very important. And at the end of the day, knowledge is power. So you want to make sure that you know your deductible, you know what's covered. Read your insurance policy. Many homeowners, they've never, read their insurance policy before. So it's very important as well. But
Nabila, before you get away from that point, to that effect, insurance policies are written in a way that
so that you don't understand them exactly.
Even attorneys that don't specialize in this field, I've heard of stories that they have claims and then they find out. We had a claim like that recently.
I believe so.
With Yuli. She has a friend that's an attorney, and he had a loss. And when we read his policy, he didn't have coverage for water damage. It was excluded, and he was not aware about it.
You see?
I'm pretty sure in the beginning part that policy says, oh, you have coverage for this, but then if this happens, then it removes this, but then you also have coverage for this.
Or the insurance company, the most important terms that they literally rely upon on litigation are not defined in the policy. For example, prompt notice. Many cases, the insurance company is saying, oh, I'm sorry, it was a lack of prompt notice. But then when you ask them, okay, what is prompt? Why is it not defined in the policy? They don't have an answer. So...
To go back onto the inspection part, if there's a storm or some kind of event obviously triggers, people getting their home or their property secured. Don't just go up on a ladder. Don't just, okay, I don't see anything wrong with my property, I'll just go back to work the next day. No, in my opinion, I think that every homeowner has an obligation or should try to reach out to you guys or to the public adjuster, say, hey, do you mind trying to inspect my property now that the storm has passed? Because what happens is that you may not notice damage to your property right then and then, but with time, with other storms may happen after this initial storm. Water travels. So you might not see it right there and then, but it could happen, a few months down the road, even a year or two down the road, that you start to see there's stains in your ceilings. So I think it's very important, or I want to emphasize, if a storm passes, reach out to your public adjuster. Say, hey, do you guys mind trying to inspect our property? You guys don't charge for the inspection, right?
At all.
So I mean, if it's free to you, take advantage of these services that are out there. They're only there to make sure that you guys are covered. That you don't try to be a good citizen and say, okay, I'm not going to report a claim because I don't see any damage. That is true in some sense, but if you don't have an expert to go out to property to really check out this property and conduct a thorough inspection, you don't have your typical homeowner doesn't have that skill or that eye. Say, okay, let me go and check out this tile. Let me try to let me touch it. Let me see what's wrong with that shingle. Let me see what is that impact on that shingle. So most people, and I can tell you from experience, don't know how to do those inspections. So if there's a services out there which you guys are telling us, that you guys provide, I would highly suggest that as a homeowner, you utilize the service as fast as you can right after a storm passes to make sure that your property has not been damaged. You have somebody that it's licensed to go out there and based on their experience could check out the property.
Another thing as well, there's damages obviously that become apparent with time, but let's say a storm passes today or a hurricane passes today. You don't observe any damages to your home. I mean, most homeowners are not, inspecting each and every room and ceiling of their home. It happens. Sometimes even damage. We have cases where, the homeowner took a little bit longer to report it because the leak was inside the closet. I mean, you don't really inspect each and every closet like that. But anyways, once you do observe damages, you want to make sure that you don't wait and that you go ahead and you contact your public adjuster. It's very important. So you need to contact Monarch Claims. Why? Because there's many homeowners that think, oh, it's under my deductible, or I don't think it's enough damage. That's, the insurance companies, they really hold on to that defense and say, oh, you waited, At the end of the day, all these homeowners have a duty to mitigate your damages. You have to prevent your home from getting worse. I mean, we have cases where the ceilings literally collapse. So you want to make sure that once you see something, please don't wait. Please contact your public adjuster.
To add to that point, any homeowner should not, my opinion, you should not report a claim on your own. Why? Because the reason why I tell you this is because you have somebody on the other side, which would be, either an independent adjuster or somebody working for the insurance company. They're going to ask you a series of questions, and the questions they're going to ask a homeowner are tailored into responses that they want you to say, and they're going to use that against you once they deny your claim. At the end of the day, an insurance company, they're in the business of selling insurance, and obviously they want most of their, they want income, but they don't want to pay out. Exactly. If you do the math, how much money each individual or each homeowner pays over their lifetime and just securing their property and paying for insurance versus how many claims they actually put on their property, the numbers are through the roof. They're making a ton of money. So make sure that you prepare yourself that, this person who's going to be taking on this claim that you're reporting doesn't try to take advantage of you. And the way you do that is you reach out to your public adjuster. Most public adjusters, and I think some of them in the room here, have worked for actual insurance companies. And they know, the kind of courses they teach, the kind of questions they're going to ask you, and that they're not looking out for your best interest. They're looking out for the interest of the insurance company. So make sure that when you report these claims, that you're not just there by yourself. Make sure you have a public adjuster there that's present with you that can guide you, in responding to questions in the correct way. I'm not saying, I want to make sure I say this. I'm not saying you have to lie or alter your responses. No, there's the truth is everything. You always want to say the truth, but there's always a way of saying things that if you don't say in the right way, it could leave some kind of wiggle room or some kind of interpretation of what you're saying. They could use it against you if you have to file a lawsuit against your insurance company. So what I'm trying to say is, say the truth no matter what, but it's about how you say things. So make sure, that you contact, don't report a claim on your own. Have somebody there present with you who could assist you in responding to the questions. And again, it's truthful responses, but it's always a way in how you say things. And they're going to ask you, I've heard recorded statements that individuals, homeowners, are by themselves, and the way they're asking their questions, as well as attorneys, we refer to as leading questions, which are yes or no, which should not be a yes or no answer. Mm-hmm. It should be, you should elaborate on your response, because in the end of the day, they're going to use that against you. So I want to just put that out there.
Yeah, I definitely want to emphasize on this point, because I think that there's a lack of knowledge from the homeowners. If they do file a claim on their own, which we definitely don't recommend that they do, they think many times that, the desk adjuster, the field adjuster, that they're looking out for their best interest, which is completely, it couldn't be further from the truth. So you definitely want to have someone on your side that's representing.
I mean to interrupt you, but it's like, when you get pulled over by an individual, or by a cop, or you get arrested by a cop, what you say will be used against you.
Will be using against you in a court of law.
1,000%.
Literally.
1,000%. They're going to use that to you. They're going to hold that to you for until this claim passes.
That's the best analogy that you could have used, but you definitely want someone that's on your side, that does this for a living, that does this every day, day in and day out, and is really looking out for your best interest. At the end of the day, and this is very important, the insurance company does not represent the homeowner. It's to the contrary. They don't have the best the homeowner's interest at heart. They don't want to find damage, and even if they do, obviously they're going to undermine the damage. They want to underpay, say that it's under deductible. It's a classic basically, and it's important. The field adjuster and the desk adjuster do not represent you. So this is a misconception, but this is very important. So you want to make sure that you have a public adjuster there with you, guiding you, step by step during the pre-suit claims process from day one. So very important point.
I think people think that, I'm paying for this service, for having insurance, they're going to have my back.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. They have to remember, like you said, they're in the business, insurance companies are in the business of making money, right? And how do they do that? Collect premiums and don't pay claims.
Absolutely.
That's how they make money. So, like they're saying, be represented. Whether it's us or another public adjuster or whatever it may be, hire representation. Obviously, if you want the best, then you hire us.
Absolutely. I second that.
Thank you.
And you also to piggyback on that, you also want to make sure that you do stay organized during the claims process as well. So back when we were saying as well, during a hurricane, have those pictures, those timestamp pictures, those videos, those receipts of any repairs that you may have made, any repair that you're going to make to your property. First and foremost, you want to make sure that before you make any repair, unless of course it's an emergency, you want to ensure that the field adjuster or representative from the insurance company has the opportunity to go to the property to conduct a thorough inspection. Most of the time, they only send out the field adjuster. They really don't hire an engineer, but at least giving them the opportunity, because if not, another classic argument that they like to say is, we were prejudiced. We were prejudiced because, the condition of the property changed and you have no pictures of how it looked before you made the changes. So if it's something that's an emergency and you absolutely have to make the repair, that's, it's fine, but you want to make sure that you take pictures and videos. So in the event that the claim has to go either to litigation, to the claims process through a public adjuster, at least you have those pictures and those videos to show the condition of the property. And even if you want to also hire an engineer, sometimes pre-suit, or for sure during litigation, when we hire our expert witnesses, they have, videos and pictures to be able to substantiate.
Yeah, we have been doing that a lot more often since after we had that discussion where we're hiring the engineers during the claims process. If the carrier hires one, we bring one on board right away. That way they can't say that, that our engineer went out, 7-8 months after theirs. So we try to do it at the same time that they send their engineers, because again, it's a battle of, who can show what. So if they're trying to deny, we're trying to get coverage.
Exactly.
Because you could have the best case, but if you don't have the best evidence to show, it's really what you can prove in court. So that's a very important point as well.
Going back to the repairs and the field adjuster, make sure that when the insurance company sends out their field adjuster, that you have your public adjuster there present with you. Why? Because just like a desk adjuster or the claim representative taking on the claim when you report it, they're going to take notes of what you said to them, and they're going to ask you questions, and they're going to either record it or they're going to take notes of as to what you said. And just so it's better to have somebody there, your public adjuster there, to be able to corroborate the fact that you did not say something that what they're saying you told them. So that's that's something that I want to emphasize. Make sure that when the field adjuster goes out there to do their initial inspection, make sure that you have a public adjuster there present with you, so you have some kind of witness there that is able to corroborate what you actually said to this individual versus what they're gonna say that you told them. So I think that's an important point that I would like to emphasize.
Sometimes it's not even in the inspection. You want to make sure that you never speak to the field adjuster without your public adjuster there present.
Yeah.
So that's
the wonderful thing about hiring us, Monarch, to represent you during the claim process is that we're there with you from day one.
24/7.
They're 24/7. We're there, from helping you to report the claim. We're there from being there at the initial inspection, any re-inspection that needs to be there, any documents that needs to be prepared for the insurance company. Like, we're there to help you every single way.
Yeah.
So-
Organization is key.
Yes.
So that's very important.
And then I think another point I want to touch on is what to do after a storm passes. What are the homeowners' obligations after the storm passes. So what I'm trying to get to is make sure that if you have an active leak, make sure you put a tarp on it. Just don't let your roof just rot there. There's companies out there. I'm sure you guys know certain companies that could provide the service to you to make sure that you mitigate your damages. Because the biggest thing, one of the defenses they always bring up is, sir, man, why didn't you put a tarp? Why did
Failure to mitigate your damages.
Yeah, why didn't you do certain things to mitigate or avoid your property from suffering additional damages or more damages? So that's that's an important note.
And the insurance company pays for the cost of mitigating the damage. If you have to put a tarp or if there needs to be some sort of dry out, the insurance company pays for those services. So it's not like you're going to have to come out of pocket and pay for that.
And if you don't have a public adjuster, you wouldn't know that. So if you're, self-reporting the claim and you have no idea what to do, I mean, most homeowners, unfortunately, they don't have the money to just, permanently fix their roof and, have a new roof, so to speak. So if you don't have a public adjuster, you're really going into this blindsided. So many homeowners that represent themselves, they don't even know that they have the option of hiring the mitigation company, signing, direction to pay, assignment of benefits, whatever the case may be, so that the insurance company is able to cover this loss.
Yeah.
And the mitigation services.
And what's worse is that some will even try to do repairs themselves, which then they get rid of the evidence that there was damage to the roof, and then that compromises the claim.
That's even worse.
That goes to my next point, is what's called preservation of evidence.
Yeah.
Make sure that you, after a storm, whatever the case may be, even a cast iron pipe collapse, whatever the case may be, make sure that any kind of physical evidence that you see,
A P-trap leak. is a big
you
one,
see
too.
a shingle that flew off your roof, a tile that flew off your
Anything.
roof, anything, branch, anything that you see that you physically observe after the event, you make sure that you either photograph it, you put it into a garbage bag, you hold on to it to show the insurance company, listen, I walked out and I saw shingles all over my backyard. Because the famous question in every deposition that we attend, ma'am or sir, did you see any shingles in your backyard? I didn't see any shingles. Oh, did you see any pieces of tile on your? I didn't see any pieces of tile. Okay, so they always ask these questions when this, unfortunately, the claim ends up in litigation. Just try to say, okay, well, if the storm was so significant, like you're saying, under penalty of perjury, why isn't there any direct evidence of the roof being impacted as a result of the storm? So make sure make sure you preserve the evidence. Make sure you take off a piece of your ceiling or whatever, preserve it, put it into a plastic bag, put it into a garbage bag, just preserve that, and wait till the field adjuster go out there and they can physically see what you preserve, and also ask your public just, hey, what should I do with this, and they'll help guide
If it
you.
needs to be tested or whatever the case may be, but at least it's there. Please don't dispose of it. It's very important.
Yeah.
Correct. I agree with that 100%. We've had cases too where we'll tell the insured that they have to replace a specific part because it's leaking, like a plumbing leak or something like that. And we'll tell them you have to save this part.
Yeah.
And then when we come to
Absolutely.
the inspection, the part is, I got
Gone.
rid of
The
it.
part is gone, or
That
the
makes
garbage
our
disposal too. Like the garbage
that's a big
disposal
one.
is leaking, don't throw it away. Like, obviously
Yeah.
replace it, but keep the the one
Yes.
that damaged there.
Like Hugo and Nabila said, preserve the evidence.
Very
Save whatever
important. Keep the
pieces.
receipts
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
please. It's so important.
Yeah, we have to, at this point, nowadays, we have to be able to, again, build a case,
Build a case.
and show all the evidence. I think back in the day, so I've been doing it for about 15 years, and like you said, like with the carrier, back then they were a little more flexible with that. Oh, you threw it away. Okay, I can see the damage. It's a covered claim.
Not like that anymore.
Nowadays, it's you threw it away. There's no evidence. of the
destroyed
law.
evidence.
You destroyed
Spoilation of evidence.
Exactly. So, definitely, it's a different times. We have to make sure to, keep everything that we can.
Absolutely. Going to roofs and certain protections that, I believe, from what I recall right now, there's something was referred to as straps. Roofs having clips or straps. I believe nowadays they use more of the straps. The clips are on older roofs. But make sure, listen, if there's, right now I believe there's a active hurricane season that's coming our way this year. I'm not sure if you guys know approximately how many hurricanes or how many projected storms there are said to be. Do you guys know?
Well, it's going to be
over
more
20.
active than usual.
About 22.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
I don't.
Put it up on the.
Yeah, I don't normally pay attention because I get excited when I hear so many storms are coming our way.
Yeah. So his emotions go like in
Yeah.
waves. Like, he can't handle it.
I'd rather not.
His heart can't take it.
I'd rather not get excited until it's right there knocking
Yeah.
at my door. Look at that beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
14 and 21.
6 to 10 coming hurricanes.
We need
Including,
more.
3 to
They're being
6,
modest.
category 3 and up.
Major hurricanes. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah,
so
so what I'm trying to get to is if you have an older roof, typically the lifespan of a roof, shingle roof, what do you guys say would be more or less based on your guys' experience?
Average, I'd say about 15, 20 years.
Okay. So if your roof is about 14
Reaching
years,
the end of its
yeah,
lifespan.
reaching its lifespan, but you've never had a leak, you've never had any issue with it, you've always maintained your property, take pictures of your roof, take pictures of your ceilings, because what they love to do is, your roof is almost 15 years, your roof is almost
Wear and tear is the
has already
famous
reached
one.
its lifespan. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna deny your claim, say, it's wear and tear. So if you have pictures to show that although your roof is an older roof, correct, you're able to have photographs to show it's not wear and tear, it's not foot traffic, your roof is in good condition, you maintained it.
Just because it's an old roof does not mean that there could be no claim. So that's very important. A lot of people get confused and they get mixed up. It was reaching the end of its lifespan. It doesn't mean that there cannot be a covered peril created opening. So that's
Yeah.
very important.
Correct. If wind causes damage
Exactly.
to the old roof, there can be a claim. You're not claiming it because it's old. You're claiming it because it's damaged by wind.
Exactly.
So
Before the storm hit, there was no stains in there, but then after the storm,
Yeah.
a couple of stains came out.
And also you'll see that there's the shingles are there, they're not creased, there's no signs of impact from debris from the past. So make sure you want to photograph your
Missing shingles, anything like that.
Yeah.
We have a case actually, which is going to trial in October.
yeah.
God willing. So we have a case actually, and we believe it's a really good case where the client, he literally followed all the instructions. He took pictures, videos before, during, and after the storm. And before the storm, he took a picture of the rear of his property, and it's a shingle roof, and all the shingles were basically intact. After the storm, the same picture, there were like 2 or 3 shingles missing.
Gone.
It was the exact same picture. So that's a slam dunk case.
Yeah.
And the insurance company is still fighting it. So, it is what it is. But at least here we have the evidence to show it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to take pictures and take videos.
Why do they do that when it's such a clear case? I feel it's like they're trying to just bully people.
We ask
into-
ourselves that every day.
Again, going back, it's a business. The insurance industry is a business. So what they do is they calculate, okay, how much is it going to cost me to pay an attorney to take this case to a trial or before trial, versus, okay, if I have to cover this claim, I have to pay out this, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all a business decision. Everything they do is not for the best interest of the homeowner.
At all,
It's
never.
the best interest for their pocket. So they put this into a cost analysis. Okay, how much I'm gonna have to pay out an attorney to defend this? Meaning, by defending, okay, I'm gonna try to push this case out, this claim out as much as I can, 2-3 years out. I'm gonna tire out the homeowner. Your typical consumer or homeowner does not have $40,000, $30,000, 60, 70, whatever, however big your house is, to be able to replace your roof, to just, dish it out right there and there. So what's going to happen is ultimately the homeowner is going to be stuck having to do a minor repair, which the next storm is going to get blown away, and then they're gonna blame the new claim on the prior existing claim, which should have been covered but was not covered.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get to is they try to prolong these cases, these claims as much as they can to tire out the homeowner, to then offer them pennies. Okay, here you want, whatever your estimates are, we're gonna offer you $5,000. So the homeowner sees it, all right, after 3 years, I'm getting $5,000. With $5,000, I could probably pay somebody off the street.
Well, nowadays you can't do anything with $5,000.
Yeah, but I could pay somebody off the street, to repair this, and that's unfortunately that's how, in my opinion, how they tend to see cases. They don't see it based on, okay, my client, which is the insured, has paid me over $100,000 in premiums after they obtain ownership in this property. They may at least provide coverage for this claim for this roof that was pretty much destroyed as a result of this event. What they do is, okay, they want 30, 40 grand. Cost of litigation, it's probably going to be $50,000. We're going to tire them out, et cetera, et cetera. We'll probably resolve this case for $5,000, $10,000. So that's, they put this in a scale.
Another thing too, and this is a little bit off topic, but the insureds, they cannot take this personal. Unfortunately, many times, we'll be on the phone with them and they're saying, I don't understand. What did I ever do wrong? I've never put one claim. I've always paid my premiums. I've never been late. Why are they doing this to me? Unfortunately, you cannot take this personal. This is a business. At the end of the day, the insurance company is a business. They really don't care. All they want to do is really, collect the premium. So unfortunately, obviously it hurts, and we understand their frustrations, but it cannot be taken personal. If not, we're not going to get anywhere. But that's just something to make note of, even though we understand their frustrations.
Yeah, here we try to approach it in that way, but it's hard not to take it personal because it's a person that is being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
I mean, we want to make money too, and we're running a business as well, but it's just, it doesn't sit well when somebody's taken advantage of.
And on top of that, now the new thing as well is to drop them from the policy. You know what? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. As part of the settlement, I'm not going to cover you anymore.
We had a case recently,
which is even more insulting.
We had a case recently was an elderly woman who was retired. She was in late 70s or late 80s. I don't recall how old she was, but lived by herself. I think her husband had already passed. She was alone in this world. Pretty much all she had was her daughter. And she put a claim in. It was a legitimate claim. There was I think it was a Hurricane Irma claim. And they took about almost a year and a half to process the claim, they ended up denying the claim, and then we had to file a suit against the carrier, etc. And then during litigation, they sent her a non-renewal notice. This poor pobrecita, this old lady
She didn't report the claim also because she was taking care of her husband that was really on his deathbed. So it was a really sad story.
They sent her a non-renewal notice. She freaked out. She saw herself
alone.
The world was eating her up. Her husband had just passed.
It's her only asset.
Yeah. And fortunately enough, the judge that we were in front of, made our arguments, etc. Did not allow the insurance company to not renew the policy again. So obviously, not every case is in front of the same judge, but you get cases like this that are sad. We have somebody who's paid premiums their entire life, and they're
their home is their castle.
They're
really.
in a personal situation, where their significant other is no longer around, and then this happens, and they do everything correctly, or they couldn't attend to, or whatever the case may be, and then they're confronted with this non-renewal notice, which to anybody is, it's like, what are you talking about?
It's like life-threatening to
her.
her.
A lot of the times, these people have been with the same insurance company for over 15, 20 years. Like, they built a personal relationship with the insurance agent. They feel like they're all being taken care of because they're paying their premiums like on time every month or every year, whatever the case may be. It's kind of like it's hurt. Like, it really does hurt when you get something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
I guess going on to businesses, there's also the business interruption coverage.
Tell us about that.
So, as a business owner myself, when you're confronted with these events, whatever the case may be, is tropical storms, or hurricanes where you have employees, you have equipment, you have computers, assets that you've invested in over the course of certain periods. You want to make sure you also document those
Like an
assets.
inventory.
Yeah, do an inventory. Most companies, their CPAs maintains certain assets or equipment on their spreadsheets or on their QuickBooks accounts. Obviously for certain tax reasons. But you also want to document those items. Make sure you keep the receipts or have them handy with you in case power is out for 2 or 3 weeks. You could go and report the claim to your carrier. So there is, for businesses as well, not only for homeowners but also for businesses, all kinds of businesses. There's now not just certain businesses, but I believe there's policies out there that cover all types of businesses. So make sure you take inventory of your assets, of your computers, your machinery, whatever the case is. So if something happens, there's a power surge and all your computers are wiped out, you're able to try to collect that as part of your loss. As a result of this event. I'm sure Nabila could.
With Hurricane Irma, there were many businesses that were closed for weeks because they didn't have power or whatever the case may be. So you want to make sure that you have this type of insurance, a business interruption insurance, to cover you in the event of there is any property damage to your business, to make sure that you're covered to provide for your employees, that it doesn't just stop there. Yeah. At least back in when Hurricane Irma hit, that many businesses were shut. Wasn't from home wasn't really a thing back then. So now everyone, okay, we'll go work from home. I mean, that's normal nowadays, but back then it wasn't. So now I'm sure people are more prepared. They have backup plans, but you want to make sure if you have a store, a little coffee shop, whatever the case may be, the same thing goes that we were speaking of earlier on. Protect your business just like protect your home. Put up plywood, whatever the case may be, to make sure that you're preventing any damage.
But most importantly, make sure you have that kind of coverage. So
absolutely.
Make sure you reach out to your public adjuster. Say, hey, listen, you might look at my policy. Do you guys charge for business insurance?
We do not.
All right, so reach out to your public adjuster. Say, hey, listen, am I looking at my policy? See what kind of coverage I have, or what are my exclusions, or what are my caps?
Yeah, be proactive. Don't wait last minute, because everyone's probably going to be doing the same thing and scrambling.
Yeah.
I remember during Irma, as we were getting ready to close the office, I moved computers away from the windows, and I placed bags over. It was a lot less computers. I'm not sure if I would do that now.
Those 3 computers.
Yeah, it was 3.
I think it was 3 computers.
And but
I remember doing that too.
I didn't take pictures
You see.
of that, which is important. Like you said, documenting prior to the loss, the condition of business or the property. That's very, very important.
That goes into the mitigation of damage. What did you do, to make
And
sure?
how do you prove that you did that?
To prevent that asset, that product, that machinery from being damaged. Because again, the same way you have your good Samaritans, you also have your Samaritans that do things on purpose, that put the computers next to the windows. So you want to make sure that you're able to support everything that you're telling the carrier when you go to report your claim. And the same thing, don't report your claim by yourself. Have somebody there who's licensed, who knows what kind of
knows the business,
that can anticipate the questions they're going to ask you. And I'm sure you guys do business interruption claims, right?
We've had only a handful.
Yeah. But there's also a misconception. If I report my claim to my insurance, my premium is going to go up. That's not a correct statement.
Premiums are going to go up regardless, by the way.
That's true.
Especially with inflation. So.
Yeah.
No, with the carriers, with the way that they are, they keep blaming everything on the consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In my opinion, there's a war being brought against the consumers as it pertains to insurance. It's just the way it is.
In Florida, at least.
It's my personal belief. I mean, in Florida, we have all these hurricanes, all these storms, all these different kind of weather conditions that other states don't have. You have more population.
Everyone is moving here because we are the best state, for the record.
Best state, best PAs, best
Everything,
attorneys.
best everything.
Got the best here.
Yeah. Which I heard one of the biggest companies in Illinois just closed down in Illinois and moving to Miami. So
really?
I can't remember the name of the company though, but it's a big top, I think 500 company moving to Miami.
A Fortune 500?
Yeah, Fortune 500.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The weather is a lot nicer here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to touch base on the topic of the agents real quick.
Okay.
Because it's something that we mentioned, and it's something that I've mentioned in the past in other podcasts. First, I have nothing against insurance agents, but ultimately we have to remember that they work for insurance carriers, like they're selling insurance carrier policies, and they don't necessarily know or understand how the policy is written or what it says. They have like an outline of what the coverages are, but agents don't necessarily know how to interpret the policy. So if you want your policy reviewed,
Don't just rely on your agent.
don't rely, please. I mean, you can call them if you'd like, but if you want a thorough evaluation of your policy, please contact us or contact Nabila and Hugo. They're also, obviously, they're attorneys. Like, they read these policies just as much as we do, or even more. But yes, contact somebody that's not working for the insurance company that can give you that advice as to the coverages and what your policy actually states. Even if you have a relationship with that agent, maybe they don't even realize that they're misleading you. They just don't know what they're selling. They have an idea, but they don't know. So just contact an expert to go over that policy with you.
And if you're an insurance agent and you're more than welcome to join our podcast to have this conversation.
Anytime.
I've invited several insurance agents that I know, but for some reason they're unavailable.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because of conflicts. Like you said, they work for them, so they don't want to put anything on the air that's gonna come back and.
I had a client tell me that her insurance agent said that if you ever have some sort of damage or something, like before you call your insurance, call me, like call the insurance agent. And she told me that the insurance agent, like she explained, there's a damage in my bathroom. I think it was something around in the bathroom, and the agent's like, no, that it doesn't pass your deductible, so it's not worth finding a claim for it.
Without even going out to the property.
That's horrible advice all around.
It's just really.
My understanding is that with agents, the more claims that their clients make,
the more red flags they get.
Not red flags, but they keep like a tally of how many claims that office receives, and then they're more likely to get
audited.
Not auditor or carriers being like pulled out,
getting their appointments removed from the carriers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whether that's true or not,
sense.
I'd like to hear from our agent followers, and if anybody wants to have a discussion, I'm open to it.
You're more than welcome to comment in the section. Where is it? In this area, right here.
Comment below.
Well, down here somewhere.
The other thing too that we haven't touched on, we've talked about a lot, post storm, but also, pre-storm as well. Obviously preparing your home, we've discussed at length what to do, but also, removing any debris, pruning the trees, making sure that everything is secured in your backyard, any furniture, any, garbage cans, anything along those lines, because that, in the middle of a category 3, 4, or 5 storm, that's going to be flying. So that's coming straight to your window. So you want to make sure that you also, not just, shutters, plywood, etc. You want to make sure that, these items are also secured. So.
And keep track too. If you go and you hire a landscape company to cut down your trees or prune your trees or whatever phrase it is, make sure you keep tabs or keep copies of the receipts that you paid your landscape company. Make sure you keep their contact information so that if God forbid you have to go and make a claim because a really bad storm came, you have them in your as witnesses that you contacted them to prevent these items from flying. And causing damage to your property. Keep those receipts. Keep everything. Make sure with the phones. Make sure that your iCloud is backed up. Because if you lose your phone, then you lose your photographs. So make
your
sure
important documents are secured. Your social security cards, your passports.
Yeah, keep everything safe so that if something happens, you don't have to dish out money out of your own pocket when you have a contract with your insurance company that you pay for, either every 6 months, every year, on an annual basis, you renew every year. That they come through, because if not, you're pretty much paying for a one-sided contract where you give in and you get nothing back.
Exactly.
So
yeah, even when you do everything right, they're always going to find loopholes. I remember we had this case once that I was taking I wasn't the one taking the deposition, but our client was asked questions. He did everything right. He took pictures, videos, everything before, during, and after the storm. He boarded up his home with the plywood. And I remember the attorney for the insurance company asking him, I'm never going to forget this, why didn't you secure and put, plywood on your front door? And the client was like, well, I couldn't have left the property then. How could I secure the front door? I mean, where am I going to escape from? So at the end of the day, even when you do everything right, the insurance company is always going to try to find a loophole. That's why it's so important to make sure that we have, the strongest claims, strongest, evidence cases as possible to make sure that, we're able to come back against what these insurance companies really are going to argue ultimately.
Yeah. So remember, main points is preserve the evidence. You see shingles, any tiles or pieces of whatever it is on your lawn, preserve it. Take photographs, videos before, during, and after. Make sure you contact your public adjuster to do an inspection of your property prior to the hurricane or a tropical storm, and immediately after, to look for damages to your property. Make sure you have the proper insurance coverages. Don't wait till after the storm to check your
review.
insurance coverages.
Keep inventory also of your personal property as well, your valuables. This will also speed up the claims process to see, what is it that you had in the home. Take pictures of your valuable items as well, to make sure. Obviously, it's going to speed up the claims process, and in order to substantiate, the losses that you had. So, many people don't think about that, but that's also, something. What is it that you have in your home? Do you have the proper coverage for the contents portion of your policy? So that's something else to keep in mind. It's not just the structure, but it's also what you have inside your home.
True.
So the key is preserve. Make sure you have the evidence. So if something happens, you can present it to the insurance company with your public adjuster, and make sure you are there, not alone, with a representative on your behalf that's looking out for your best interest, and and always respond to the questions in a truthful manner.
Also, early preparation is key. Obviously for hurricanes or tropical storms or whatever the case may be. We're unfortunately living in a world of shortages of pretty much everything. So now it's even more important, even more relevant to make sure
you have toilet paper.
Make sure you have, your valuable items. Make sure you have, flashlights, first aid kit, non-perishable items, canned food, whatever the case may be. To make also gas is important.
And the barbecue, the beer.
Yeah, generators.
Everything that you need
secure
to
la cajachina.
No, and also to the toilet paper comment.
toilet paper.
The people from Cuba are thinking, yo en Cuba me limpio con papel papel periódico. So they're like, oh, we're good.
Yeah, very, very important. So it's better to be prepared, because now, we're living in a interesting world.
You guys kept on talking about like plywood and the shutters, and I'm thinking about, my grandfather used to put a duct tape ahí.
Or the duct. That's true. The duct. I forgot about the duct tape.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Well, I think there's been tests that doesn't really work.
No,
I
but
forgot about the duct
gonna be
tape.
the insurance agents be like, oh, but did you put the duct tape there?
You see, you can never. It's exactly no matter what
I
you
want to just
do.
put on to this. Remember, this is for educational purposes, not legal advice. It's just based on our experiences, all of us combined. Everybody here on the table is looking out always for the best interest of the homeowner, the insured. So that's this is the reason why we thought these are important topics. These are the items that have come up on and on and on in a lot of our cases.
Time and time again.
Time and again, and they're the insurance company's defenses. So we're trying to make sure that the claims or when you guys get them, that the homeowner then is not
Did all the steps that he or she needed to do prior to even starting the
so
claim.
it's not legal advice, but it is for educational purposes based on our combined
And
experiences.
of course, if they have any questions, to reach out, to Monarch Claims.
Correct, and legal questions as well.
Yeah.
They can reach out to you
Of
guys,
course.
right? So, and there's a question here, or more. It says, as a homeowner, why should I want to have you two on my side? As in, like, the public adjuster, Monarch, and Nabila and Hugo as the attorneys, right? I think for us, ultimately, it comes down to, yes, we have a great process, we have great adjusters, but what I think really sets us apart is the fact that we care so much.
Yeah.
We care, like, individually about every single client that we have. We want to make sure that we do right by them, regardless of what it may represent for us. And like we said, like we're passionate about what we do, and when we see a client, even though we shouldn't take it personal, in a way we do, because it's somebody that's being taken advantage of. And when we have somebody like that on your back, or like
On your
with
side.
having
On your
your
side,
back
on your side.
there's you're taken care of, I think.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, listen, with us at least, when we started the firm, we started with the mentality of that, attorneys have this reputation of, I email my clients
Non-responsiveness.
of not being responsive. I email my attorney, he never gets back to me. I call my attorney, he doesn't respond to my phone calls. So when we started our firm, that's going to be been 3 years now since we started the firm, we started with this mentality of transparency. we want clients to trust us. We're trying to change that, that reputation that is all about the attorney, not about the client. All of our
Or
clients,
keeping the client in the dark. They have no idea what's going on.
the majority of our clients have our cell phones. They text us at crazy hours. So when we're on vacation, my phone is blowing up, and that's fine because at the end of the
But
day,
we're grateful. We're not complaining at all.
yeah. But at the end of the day, what we aim to is make sure the client does not feel like they're left in the dark or alone in this process. That could be very anxious, very nerve-wracking when you're getting deposed, when there's money on the line. We want to make sure that our clients feel like they have a team on their
Exactly.
side to battle these big insurance companies. Ultimately, it's like Goliath against a homeowner, pretty much.
Yeah.
You have companies netting millions of dollars versus a homeowner who that their salaries are $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. They want to have that sense of comfort. So we always, our clients, the majority of them have our cell phones. The system we use in our office has a client portal. They see everything that's going on from even pre-suit when we reach out to the carriers and we're trying to avoid having to go litigation, because the new reputation that Miami has or Florida is that they're the state with the most claims being litigated. But there's a reason for that. It's not because of the homeowners, it's because they're being denied for no reason.
Exactly.
So, and we're obviously because also the population, the weather, the storms that we get. So, as attorneys, and based on our prior experiences, we're trying to change that reputation of, my attorney just shows up whenever he wants, but, that they can communicate with us whenever they want and have a response quick. Because right now, there's been a change in the world where now everything's done now or yesterday. They don't have to wait to receive a text message. They don't have to wait for. Going back, they don't have to wait for a mail to come in through the mailbox. They just.
Yeah.
Everyone wants things now, but we really do provide that service.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have a missed call from a client, because I'm on the other line, immediately as I hang up, I'm calling that client back.
Yeah, just look at our reviews. The reviews speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Our clients.
And I can attest to that too. I mean, I'm probably gonna get some heat for this, but we obviously work with hand-selected attorneys, and you guys are the best team that we
Thank
work
you.
with.
Thank you. We appreciate
and
that.
the other ones that don't like it, they better step it up.
Upper
They
game.
better do so. So yeah.
Responsiveness for us is
Yeah,
number
listen,
one
communication
priority.
is key. Communication is key in every aspect of the word communication. You want to make sure that your public adjuster is on the same page with their client as well as the attorney with their client. So
We treat our clients like family.
Yeah.
Really, they come to our office. We offer them cafecito.
So
they're
we
part
don't
of the
see them as
family.
clients. We see them, okay, you have a problem and we need to help you with that problem. We don't
Yeah.
see is there economical gain? Of course there is, but at the end of the day, we don't see it from that perspective. We see, okay, we have a homeowner that has a problem with a huge insurance company, and right now they have kids. They're an elderly person, and right now there's hurricane season, and they have a damaged roof that's pending to be repaired, hopefully, or they're pending to
tension
get-
is through the roof right
they're pending
now.
to get their claim resolved. So we see it more as a, hey, how would I feel if I was in this person's shoes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So I mean, I want to thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
yeah.
We're very excited.
Yeah. Is it your first podcast?
Yeah,
Your
the first one.
It's our first
your
one.
Podcast,
First one,
your
yeah.
podcast is
Yeah.
podcast
Actually, no,
cherry.
we're pros. Just kidding.
You've been in those?
This is our first one.
Yeah, first one.
Y'all did great.
Yeah, I think the information that we've talked about here is so essential, and I just wish I could, freaking put it into people's minds, right? And I wish this
here.
this would travel. It's the length that it has to. I mean, I don't know, Elia. We gotta promote this in some way so that the more people can see it, because you guys
Knowledge
have
is
given
power.
Yeah.
you guys have given so many essential tips and things that every person at some point in time is going to need.
They should
So
know.
just know that there's things that you have to do in order to make sure that you get covered by your insurance company when you incur a loss. Notice that I said when and not if, because everybody at some point will have some sort of loss and they will need their insurance company. So again, thank you so much for coming. I
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you guys.
appreciate you guys, and nothing. We're here.
Again, the key is all about preparedness. Hopefully, you never have to file a claim, but again, from an educational standpoint, more knowledge is power, and more knowledge helps you in the case that you are run afoul in this certain situation, and you know what to do, and you're not left in the dark.
Exactly.
And you know
Exactly.
who to reach out to, or what services are there free of charge, and seek those services if in the case you ever have to confront that event.
Yeah, who you have next to you is so important, because you could have the best claim, but if you don't have the best team by your side, it's a loss.
Well, you talked
then and
about
there.
it in scenarios like that. So thank you guys once again, and please, to the viewers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Please share with friends and family and anybody else that you think could benefit from this. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.